What's up, Nintendo Gamers? The Kid here, just with a random video. Dynasty Warriors. We all know that Hyrule Warriors is coming out very soon, in about 2 months for North America, and very soon for Japan, because it's coming out actually next month for Japan, very early next month for Japan. So it's on the horizon. So one thing since its announcement I've been wondering is if Nintendo is going to do kind of a crossover like this again, maybe with a different franchise, not just a sequel to Hyrule Warriors, which I would love to see happen, but I've always wondered that since the game's announcement. Now, there are the obvious, like Mario, and just different franchises that some may think, well, Mario probably wouldn't work. A game like Kirby and his series probably wouldn't work because they're more cartoony than the average Dynasty Warrior games. Dynasty Warrior games focus more on characters that actually have some type of combat related history in their games and that look kind of medieval. I mean, there are other games like the Gundam spin-offs and the One Piece spin-offs, but for the most part, when there's a Dynasty Warrior games, there's characters that can fight, with characters that will be unique. And I would argue that Mario can fight. In fact, yes, actually I wouldn't argue that. That's just a fact. Mario can fight, as well as Luigi and a lot of other characters. But one of the franchises I would love to see made into a Dynasty Warriors game as a spin-off is actually Kid Icarus. Now, maybe some of you thought I was going to say Fire Emblem. That's a no-brainer. I'll get to that in a minute. But Kid Icarus is something that I really think a lot of people would love to have a Dynasty Warriors type game. And if you really think about it, in Kid Icarus Uprising, you're fighting hordes of enemies from the underworld anyway, whether it be on the ground battles or the air battles. You're going through a bunch of enemies at a very fast pace, and hordes of enemies, except only really hordes of enemies in the flying sections, but not on the ground sections. But I think it would work a lot. Pit already has a huge arsenal of different weapons that work as both melee weapons and ranged weapons like guns. He has bows that can turn into swords. He has a sword that can turn into a rifle, basically. And he just has all these cool tools and all these different items and weapons that he can use. And we all know in Hyrule Warriors that Link actually uses a bunch of weapons from the Zelda lore, so that were introduced in different Zelda games. So it's not far-fetched to have Pit use at least a couple of these weapons, and he has quite a lot of these weapons that have different status effects and different abilities in themselves. So it's something that I would really love to see. And it's not like the series doesn't have a lot of characters that it can use. It has a ton of them, including villains. You have Phosphora, you have Verity, or some call her Verity or sometimes, but I call her Verity. You have Palutena, you have Hades, you have Thanatos, you have Amazon Pandora. You have just all these great characters right there to put in the Dynasty Warriors games, and I think a lot of people would love to do that. And I think Kid Icarus is pretty popular, with Kid Icarus Uprising doing very good in sales on the 3DS. Like, that was a phenomenal game. If you have a 3DS and you haven't played that game, you need to go buy it, because that game is phenomenal. You need to, I never seen someone revive a series like that before in my life. Like, that was spot on. Sakurai hit the bullseye on that franchise. So I would really love for Kid Icarus to be a a Dynasty Warriors game. It doesn't have to be a sequel, it doesn't have to be canon, but it would just be nice to see because, you know, if you think about it, in Dynasty Warrior games outside of Hyrule Warriors, Dynasty Warrior games has a lot of dialogue playing in the background as you fight these enemies, with characters telling you need to go here or there to kind of help our troops or whatever. So Kid Icarus just fits well. That already happens in Kid Icarus Uprising. There's so much dialogue in that game that's ridiculous, and you can't help but listen to it because it is funny. Like, the jokes they make in that game are very funny, and some of it is really clever too. It reminds me of watching kind of like a very action and comedy based anime. Think like Kenichi, the anime Kenichi, which I'm actually watching right now on Netflix. It's kind of like that, where it has a good mix of action and comedy, which is very cool for the series, and it actually has some seriousness to it. So it fits very well within a Dynasty Warriors game. Now, Fire Emblem, like I said, no brainer, of course. I mean, why not? I mean, it's Fire Emblems. People have swords, there's dragons, there's magic, there's all that stuff. You know, could you imagine being Ike or Marth or Lucina or Robin or just, you know, what's his name? Roy, you know, all these characters with different weapons, using all these characters from different eras within the Fire Emblem timeline. I'm not sure if it has a timeline, but I'm pretty sure it does though. But, you know, using Lyn, all these characters against hordes and hordes of enemies, dragons, mages, and all that stuff. That's self-explanatory. Make it happen, Nintendo, within some time frame. Just make some of your franchises Dynasty Warrior games. That's something that I would love to see. Now, back on the subject of Mario, of course Mario will work. Fighting hordes of Koopas, you know, fighting Goombas, all these different types. I mean, Mario has so many different types of Koopa and Goomba enemies that there will be a huge variety to choose from to make them enemies. And of course, Mario has a lot of things he can use. His power-ups can be like item type weapons, you know, like in Hyrule Warriors you have the bow, which is a item. It's like a secondary, but it's not your primary. Mario could fight with either his fists, or he can actually have his hammer. Mario or Luigi. Mario and Luigi fight with their hammers in different games, especially the Mario and Luigi RPG series. They fight with their hammers, so he can fight with his giant hammer there, use his power-ups as items, or actually use some power-ups that can be, you know, built on upon as his different type of primary weapon. Think about Rock Mario. Rock Mario can turn into a giant boulder, right? You can expand on that. Basically, what Mario is doing is controlling the earth in some type of way. Yeah, you probably know what I'm getting at. I'm saying that Mario could have some type of earth-based attacks, kind of like an earthbender from the Avatar series. I mean, it's completely possible. You know, the Tanuki suit, you know, let Mario be faster, let him be more animalistic and you know, glide a little bit. The cape, let him have more powerful attacks, be able to kind of fly to these different locations within the game, and there's just a lot they can do with that. And I'm sure there's different items that maybe I cannot think of right now that Mario can use as far as melee items, you know, other than just the hammer. But I think Mario will be fine with just his hands and stuff, because he has demonstrated that he is proficient in pretty much any type of physical activity, whether it be fighting, maybe even martial arts, or it just be acrobatics and everything. Mario's good at everything, and when Mario's good at everything, so is Luigi. So you could have characters, and I believe they should have characters from different RPGs too. You could have Fawful, you know, right there. You could have, You could have Dr. Egad. You could have Peach. You can have Bowser. Man, it would be cool to play as Bowser in the Dynasty Warrior games. Just having this giant freaking wizard dragon turtle just blowing up different types of enemies. And you can have, you know, you can just have all these characters. You can have the Koopalings as kind of these bosses. You can do a lot when it comes to Dynasty Warriors with different franchises and different characters if you really think about it. So yes, I would love to see Nintendo have more Dynasty Warriors spin-off games. And for those saying, well, Dynasty Warriors is just a beat 'em up, there's not much to them and it's kind of mundane. Well, I mean, yes, that bias exists. I'm not gonna lie, I even have that bias, but at the same time, when I'm looking at it, it's like, well, that's what it is. I mean, there's nothing really going to change about it. It's basically a modern day interpretation of a beat 'em up in 3D. So yeah, that's what you're going to get. So unless you know what you're going to get, you shouldn't expect it to be anything than what it is. I mean, if you expect it to be this super deep, with a bunch of variety type of game, you're just going to be disappointed, and you should blame yourself, because if you don't really know what a Dynasty Warrior game is, you should get acquainted with it before you start purchasing any type of Dynasty Warrior games, and that includes Hyrule Warriors. So guys, just wanted to talk about that a little bit. I really want a Dynasty Warrior games out of these different Nintendo franchises other than Zelda. So guys, tell me what you guys think in the comments below. What Nintendo franchise would you like to see crossover with Dynasty Warriors? It doesn't matter how ridiculous it sounds. Just tell me in the comments below. And it doesn't even have to be all Nintendo. Maybe some other third-party franchises too, like maybe Mega Man or something like that. Tell me just all that in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, favorite, and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. See you guys next time.